Hello and welcome back to playing Pauper. I'm your host, Jake Stiles. This week's deck is Mono Red Goblins. It is, as you might guess, an aggressive deck. So let's look at the pieces and see how we attack our opponent from 20 to 0 as quickly as possible. First we have 4 Goblin Cohort and 4 Mog Conscripts, which are basically identical. 1 mana 2/2s that can't attack unless you've played a creature spell this turn. We have 35 creature spells in the deck though, so it's fairly easy to trigger them most of the time. We also have 3 apiece of Goblin Sledder and Mog Raider, which are the same as each other. They say sacrifice a goblin, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So they can sacrifice themselves, they can pump themselves, they can turn almost any board state and any blocks into some way to get damage through. Next we have 4 Foundry Street Denizen. This creature is very good at attacking, with 2 or 3 or even 4 power on a given turn. We have Mog War Marshal, which specifically combos well with the Denizen. And it's nice to be able to block with the War Marshal and get your Goblin token back if you're in a racing situation. We have 2 Intimidator Initiate, which whenever any player casts a red spell, not just us, we can pay 1, and if we do, target creature can't block this turn, so that's another way of forcing damage through. We have 3 Sparksmith, which can tap to deal X damage to target creature and X to us, where X is the number of Goblins in play. So this costs a ton of life to use, but it is repeatable removal, so as long as we're the aggressor and our opponent can't race us, it's a free removal spell when you tap it every turn. Next we have 4 Goblin Bushwhacker. This is a mini overrun effect that's very good to cast once you have a couple other goblins on the board. We have 3 Goblin Matron, which can go search up whatever goblin we need for whatever situation. And we have a 1 of Goblin Heel Cutter as another way to force damage through. You'll almost always be casting this for the dash cost. For our spells, we have 4 Lightning Bolt, just because it's very efficient. We have 1 Death Spark. Since we have so many creatures, it's fairly easy to pay and get it back, so we can ping 1 toughness things or ping the face over and over again. We also have a 1 of Tarfire, which we can search up with Goblin Matron, because this is Tribal Instant Goblin, so it has a Goblin subtype. So if we need a shock, we can search it up with the Matron, and if we don't search it up with the Matron, it's a worse Lightning Bolt. We also have a 1 of Fire Blast as a way to top out our curve at 0 whole mana. When we're done with our mountains and we're done attacking, we can deal 4 to our opponent's face and just kill them, meaning we only have to attack them from 20 down to 4 instead of 20 to 0. Land base is extremely straightforward. We play basic mountains because we want lands that come into play untapped and lands that combo with Fire Blast only. In the sideboard, we have 2 Electricity to take out opposing small creature decks, 2 Sylvok Lifestaff if we're in a racing situation and we need a little bit of life gain. This is a great colorless option since red doesn't really get life gain options. We have 4 Pyroblast against all the blue decks in the format, a very efficient way to counter spells. We have 3 Rays, which is our out against Tron. Generally we're faster than Tron can handle, however if they get an early Fangren Marauder down they can gain some life, so it is nice to have a little bit of disruption in there to try to take out a Tron land and slow them down from being able to play a Fangren Marauder. Then we have our artifact removal. We have 3 Gorilla Shaman, since it can take out land so easily. We also have a 1 of Smash to Smithereens for a little bit of variance. If you want to cut out over half the deck cost online, you can change all of the Gorilla Shamans to Smash to Smithereens. It's a slightly worse option since you can't nuke all your opponent's artifact lands, but it still does damage and it takes out a target for relatively cheap, so it's definitely something you can consider if you want a budget option. Anyway, that's it for the deck. Play a bunch of creatures, remove the blockers that you need to, and then use Goblin Bushwhacker Overrun for the win. But hopefully it should be a lot of fun to pilot, so let's get to the matches and see how we do. As always, don't forget that you can submit your deck list for me to play to pauper@mtggoldfish.com, or you can tweet them to me at JakeStylesMTG.